Alright, what's up everybody? This is Alex once again with another episode of the EOT Newsflash. This is episode 106. I am back from vacation. Went to New Mexico with my family last week, saw a big hole, ate some good food, saw some wildlife. Beautiful, beautiful state. Recommend going if you ever can. Meow Wolf was amazing. If you guys have any idea what that is, so cool. So cool. But I digress. You guys aren't here to hear me talk about the land of enchantment. You guys want to hear me talk about magic cards that enchant, possibly. Rough segue, I know. So, as we speak, well, maybe not as we speak, but if you're watching this online, I'm probably working on it, so we'll just go with it. I am working on the limited/modern set review for Modern Horizons. Yeah, it's going to be kind of a double whammy thing, where I'm going to look at the cards from a limited perspective and also a modern perspective, giving them like a yay or nay for modern, and my usual alphanumeric grade for limited. So, working on that. It's going to be long, probably going to bring the boys in for that one, so get ready for that. But what I wanted to give you guys this week is a little bit of a preview, if you will, into the draft archetypes for Modern Horizons. A lot of the stores that I've seen posting for events online are indicating they're going to be doing a lot of drafting, not much sealed, and so I wanted to give you guys maybe a leg up on the competition when it comes to sitting down and you crack that first toasty pack of Modern Horizons. Now, a couple quick notes here. Don't take this as gospel here. These are simply the archetypes that Wizards has built into this set, but by no means are the hard and fast. If you draft red-white, it's going to be this kind of deck, or if you're blue-black, you're going to be in a control deck. Not necessarily. There's always, exceptions to the rule. So what I'm about to tell you guys is not ipso facto here, but it's simply meant as a guide for you. Now, I've got 10 cards picked out here, and I think they really highlight the archetypes themselves. Unfortunately, it's not very difficult with modern sets to really pick out what you're wanting to do within a particular color. Usually you open up a booster pack, you look at the rare, you go, oh, sweet, awesome card, and you take that and, you don't look back. But where your archetypes really are going to be well defined are in your uncommons. You're going to look for specifically gold uncommons, especially within the past few recent sets. That's really where Wizards wants you to go. Look at this blue-white card. This is going to be what your blue-white deck should want to do. In theory, doesn't have to, like I said, but should want to do because this card is designed to do X. And so that's what I want to give some focus on today. So like I said, I have 10 cards. They're all uncommons. You probably have already seen these as well, but just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what the deck will want to do. I'm not going to highlight the card I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to save that for the set review. I'm going to actually go into depth a little bit more about those archetypes with each individual card. So only 10 cards tonight. I will talk about a few, and if you're curious about what they do, definitely go on to Mythic Spoiler. The full sets up there. I look at that almost every day leading up to a set and a set's release, just to get a better idea, just to familiarize myself with the card, just so that way when I see the art, I know what it does, and I don't have to think about too much what I'm actually looking at. So we're going to dig right into it, and we're going to start off with the blue-white Soul Herder. Now, this is a white-blue creature spirit, uncommon as these all will be. It's a 1/1, and whenever a creature is exiled from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Soul Herder. That's any creature, either side. Pretty slick. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile another target creature you control, and then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. So this is a white-blue kind of blink archetype we're looking at here. So we typically see a lot of blue-white effects do this in limited, and we're all in on it here. And Soul Herder is going to be the sort of like the piece that makes this deck kind of tick. So be able to blink creatures each turn and be able to get it much bigger is really awesome. Obviously, you need targets for it, so hopefully they'll blank your removal in response. But there's going to be cards like Ephemerate that are going to be really good with this, which allows you to blink with a rebound effect, Irregular Cohort, which I believe is one of the changelings that brings a changeling with it, Pondering Mage, which is going to be super powerful with this, especially if you can get that effect to recur multiple times in a game. Even the Watcher from Tomorrow, which has Hideaway on it. Super powerful here, and so Soul Herder is obviously the piece that holds it all together. Not necessarily, a must-have for the blue-white deck, but if you can get it and you're in that archetype, you're going to be in a really good place to be really, really powerful with your deck. Next up, let's take a look at the black-white archetype here. This is going to be a changeling type deck, and this is we're going to highlight with Etchings of the Chosen. 1 black-white enchantment at uncommon. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures of the chosen. Creatures you control of the chosen type. It's been a long day. Get +1/+1, and you can pay 1. Sacrifice a creature of the chosen type. Target creature you control gains indestructible until the end of turn. Now, changelings, if you're unfamiliar with them, and I wouldn't blame you, have all creature types at all times. So if you draft a deck of changelings, and I believe there are 6, I believe, in this. I could be wrong on that number. Probably a couple more. They're whatever you want. Maybe they want to be frog or knight or ninja or whatever you want them to be. You can draft your deck around that, and if you can kind of get some of the other creature types that are in those other colors. So maybe you like name slivers if you're more like white. If you're more like ninjas, you get more black, maybe more zombies or goblins. The deck can go a lot of different directions, and so this is the one that I'm the most curious to draft, just because there is so much nonsense that you can do. Because all of a sudden your opponent has to worry about all of the creature types that could possibly happen, and if you've got maybe even multiple of these, how nuts would that get? This is a really weird card here, and I don't know if the sacrifice effect is going to be all that relevant. There is a grave, what's it called? It pulls creatures out of your graveyard back to your hand. I'm forgetting the name of it now. As a changeling as well, and so that might play here a little bit. I'll be curious to see what this deck actually looks like, and as I go through the set to actually do my review, I'm going to try and figure out what that's going to look like, and maybe build like a sort of a blueprint for it to give you guys a better idea. But this is a really cool card here, and if you like sort of wacky creature types and taking advantage of that in combat, this is going to be a really cool card for you. Next up, we've got our red-white archetype, Lava Belly Sliver. Obviously, as a sliver, you want to be drafting slivers. This is a 1 black, 1 red-white creature sliver, uncommon, 2/2. Sliver creatures you control have, whenever this creature enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker, and you gain 1 life. Now, if you're unfamiliar with slivers, we've seen 2 iterations of them. The more recent core set slivers were a universal effect, but the original old school slivers only counted your slivers here, or changelings in this set as well. And all slivers gain the abilities of other slivers. They're sort of this hive mind Borg-like entity. And now there are 4 common slivers in this set, apart from the changelings, and they're all found in red-white. So you have a Bladeback Sliver, Enduring Sliver, Lancer Sliver, and Cleaving Sliver? Yeah, Cleaving Sliver. And they all give, First Strike or Outlast or +1, +2, +0. They all do different things here. So, that's what your deck is going to be built around here, and your red-white deck is more than likely going to be a sliver-based deck. And like I said, you can splash in your changelings that are in white as well to have them count as slivers, add the game this ability here, and just have a lot of really crazy combat abilities. The last time we saw slivers, they were in all 5 colors, which kind of made the deck a little bit weird, but the rare ones were in sort of like the non-traditional sliver colors. Predominantly, we'll see these in Naya colors, so red and white here would be your silver colors for this set. This is going to be a very aggressive deck, and this is going to be sort of the key card that puts it all together once you're able to pull the rest of it together. So I'm excited to play this deck as well. I typically don't like playing slivers. I've never been a fan of them, but there's a first. Yeah, made the joke. There's a first for everybody, I guess. Next up, we have the Good Fortune Unicorn. 1 green-white creature unicorn at uncommon, 2/2. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. So green-white is typically kind of a hard thing to pull off for limited. It's not hard to pull off deck-wise, but just thematically. And so the best thing I can call this is I'm going to steal this term here, but creature fall. Yeah, it's lame, I know. Playing creatures makes them better. Now, obviously, you just play creatures, and it's kind of boring. It's kind of generic, but it is what it is. So things in this set that are going to be good are Bellowing Elk that gains trample when you play a creature, Answered Prayers, there's an enchantment that turns into an angel if you play a creature. There's lots of really neat ways to make this work. There's even stuff like Recruit the Worthy, which is a token maker with buyback. Even Mother Bear, which allows you to exile it from the graveyard and make bear tokens. Having Good Fortune Unicorn in play will make those creatures that much bigger. It's not the most flashy, like I said, archetype in the set, more than likely, but if you just want to have a good low to the ground, maybe go what creature strategy, I can't think of a better way to do that, and Good Fortune Unicorn is just... it's just cool. I mean, unicorns. I don't know. Next up, we got ninjas! Ninjas! Yes! That's what I'm talking about, people. Ninjas, baby. Ninjas! Where are the Ninja Turtles? Anyway. So, we have Ingenious Infiltrator, 2 blue-black, creature of the Delkin Ninja, uncommon, 2/3 with ninjutsu. If you've never seen this ability, I don't blame you. It's one of the most hated sets, blocks I should say, Kamigawa, of all time. So ninjutsu is always for a cost. You pay that, so in this case it's blue and a black. Return an unblocked attacker you control to hand. Put this card onto the battlefield from your hand, tapped and attacking. So basically you go in for the attack and swap them out. And whenever a ninja you control deals damage to a player, you draw a card. This card's nuts! Now there are 4, now even changelings, again, changelings might just be the key to this whole damn set. I don't know. But we have black changelings, you got black ninjas, so your changelings can be ninjas. You see where I'm going with this. So there are 4 common ninjas in this set, all with ninjutsu. Phantom Ninja, Azura Smoke Shaper, I think his name is. Moonblade Shinobi, Ninja of the New Moon, and you even have stuff like Smoke Shroud, which is an enchantment that has like a ninja theme to it, and even Fairy Seer, which is a scry creature as well, that take a really cool advantage of all this ninjutsu. And as long as you can keep your opponent off balance with some tempo spells, some bounce, maybe some kill spells, this card is going to be super powerful in this deck. It kind of sucks that it's a 4-drop instead of a 3-drop like the rest of them are, but this thing's so freaking powerful. Card advantage is king in limited, and if you can get a couple of good ninjas going every single attack, have some ways to get around them, like I mentioned, tempo plays, bounce spells, you're gonna ride these guys to victory. It's gonna drive your opponent nuts, absolutely nuts. Love ninjas, love ninjas. All right, next up, let's talk about the blue-green. This one's also a 4-drop too. Never mind. This is the blue-green archetype, which is Snow. I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw the Snow lands reprinted, I'm thinking, okay, that's cute, no big deal. But Wizards went all in on this, people. We've got Snow permanents. Snow is a thing that matters in this set. Will it ever matter again? Who snows? That's one. That's my 1%, 1 per video. So, Abominable Treefolk is a 2 green-blue Treefolk snow creature, uncommon, star power toughness. It has trample, and its power and toughness are each equal to the number of snow permanents you control, which is going to count your snow lands, which you can have up to 3 of. Well, maybe if you guys draft with your lands, that might make a difference. Something to think about there. Equal to the number of permanents you control that are snow permanents, and as it enters the battlefield, tap target creature opponent controls, and that creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. Now, this card is... I'm going to have to go back through and really take a very close look at just how many snow permanents there are in this set. We have things like Frostwalla, which is like a root walla, but for frost, for snow. You have Winter's Rest, which is a cool removal spell, and Rhymerender all have necessary components that deal with your snow mana. And obviously, if you're drafting this, and that's what I'm saying, typically when you draft a set, you just take out the basic land and, put it in your pile. You definitely do want to be aware that you should be drafting those lands. So if you're drafting this set in person, definitely bring that up and say, hey, leave your lands in the pack, because it actually matters towards an archetype. And if your store is not going to do that, this archetype might be a lot trickier to pull together. I'm gonna have to look at that a lot closer because there's a lot of cool cards that require snow mana to activate or even be cast, and if the basic ones are out of the pack, might be out of luck there. So something to think about there. This is the one archetype that I'm the most excited about just because of how absurd it all is. Having to basically take a super type and make it really be a thing. I don't think there's really ever been a time like this other than Ice Age where, decks like Skred really kind of wanted you to, go hard on these snowlands. So this is super cool. I'm super excited. There's a lot of really cool ice cards in this set, specifically one that I really wish was Baleful Strix, but beggars can't be choosers, so whatever. Super cool. Super excited for snow. Next up, we've got our black-green archetype, which is our Graveyard Matters archetype. And our card here is Rot Widow Pack. 2 black-green, creature spider, uncommon with reach, as they all have reach. It's a 2/4, and you can pay 3, a black, a green, and exile a target creature from your graveyard. Oh, no, not target, just creature. That's important. From your graveyard, and create a 1/2 spider token with reach, and then each opponent loses 1 life for each spider you control. Again, here's this changeling thing, because changelings matter. So obviously we want a lot of stuff in the graveyard. The massive First Sphere Gargantua has that awesome Unearth ability. Excavating Honorid has Threshold. There's a lot of Threshold in this set as well. And there's just, playing Magic just puts creatures in the graveyard. Things are going to die. We have got Ransack the Lab, Winding Way. Things are going to go into your graveyard, and this spider here is just going to make all of the spiders for you. Just constantly. And the fact that it isn't being done at a sorcery speed, which I feel like if this was in standard, that might be the clause on this. But the later the game goes, the more things die, the more you're able to self-mill yourself. The spider's going to go absolutely nuts. And the body is huge, too. And it's, 2/4s are always going to be limited, especially with reach. If there is a flyer deck, and there always is a flyer deck, this is going to check those flyers pretty easily. So Rot Widow's Pack is going to be an awesome addition to that deck. I'll be happy to first pick this, especially if I'm feeling a little, a little Gargari, a little under-earthy, if you will. Next up, we have our red-black archetype and Munitions Expert. It's a Goblin. Goblins is the archetype here. We have a black and a red uncommon 1/1 with Flash. What? Yeah, it has Flash. That's weird. As it enters the battlefield, you may have it deal damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the number of goblins you control. I'm assuming this might have said player at one point, but was probably too good. Who knows? So it counts the number of goblins you have in play. There are 4 common goblins in this set, aside from changelings. Can I keep telling you guys? Gonna keep telling you. And the rest are, and they're all in, those goblins themselves are all in red and black. Champion, Putrid Goblin, Wart-Eye Witch, I think his name is, or her name, the War Party, and you also have sort of a sacrifice theme that goes along with this. So it's like Goat Nap is part of that. The rare legendary Goblin, Volschnack, I think his name is. I don't know. There's a lot of really cool enabling effects that go into this red-black archetype. So if you can use Munition Expert to mow down the creatures and then attack and then sacrifice all of them, Siege Gang Lieutenant's going to be really good for this deck as well. There's a lot of really cool stuff that can go on here. And what is typically, red-black isn't always the most interesting, kind of like green-white. They're a little one-sided, a lot of attacking, but at least with Munitions Expert and other sacrifice themes within the color combination, you have some really cool counterplay here, and I think this could be a really cool archetype if you're a more aggressive player. Not really my style, but I can definitely see the appeal to this, and if this makes a red-black goblin deck in Modern, hey, even better. Next up, we've got the Ruination Rioter. Now, this is an archetype that I'm super excited to play with just because of the wild potential there really is for this set, and Modern for that matter. So Ruination Rider is a green and a red human berserker, uncommon 2/2, and as it dies, you may have it deal damage to any target equal to the number of lands in your graveyard. Now, This is so wild. This is the first time that you really want to actively put lands in your graveyards, and there's ways to do it in this set. Marasa Behemoth and Igneous Elemental all played with the same ability, and we have things like Geomancer's Gambit, which allows you to blow up lands, Spring Bloom Druid, which actually sacrifices land but ramps you, and then Excavating Honorid, which again has that threshold ability on there to put those lands in your graveyard, so that if you can play this guy, your opponent might not want to kill it. Play it in the later game and just keep turning sideways with it. You have 4 or 5 lands in your graveyard. All of a sudden, your opponent's, maybe I just won't block it. It's fine. It's fine. Maybe. Who knows? But the land archetype just looks so cool. There's the dragon that costs less for every land in your graveyard. One of the planeswalkers in this set, Renin 6, specifically tailored to lands. And I love when, you really get to have an archetype. It feels, I'm not gonna say it's like Dredge, but you just have an archetype that's so outside the norm where you actively want things going in your graveyard to get an advantage out of them. It's similar, I know, to like Undergrowth from Guilds of Ravnica, but this feels just a little bit different because this is counting something that typically doesn't go in the graveyard all that often. And I think this is going to be one of the more rewarding archetypes to play with here, just because it's on an axis that you typically don't get to see a lot often. It's pretty cool. And last but certainly not least, we have our blue-red archetype, which is pretty underwhelming, and it's just draw some cards. Draw cards. I mean, it's what the colors do. I get it. Just draw cards. So we have Thundering Djinn here, 3 blue-red, flying, uncommon, 3/4. Whenever it attacks, you may have it deal damage to any target equal to the number of cards you've drawn this turn, which will always be a baseline of 1, so that's kind of neat. Now, there's some really interesting stuff here going on. There is the Splice Draw spell, Evermind, I believe is what it is, or it's a play on the old Splice spell that drew a card that had no mana cost to it. It's pretty cool. You have things like Ikite and Spinehorn Minotaur that all get boosts when you draw an extra card on your turn. So, I think the Minotaur gets like Trample, I believe. And so the ability to cycle and card draw, typically, which, are always good in a blue-red or a black-blue or a Grixis, themed deck, especially with like the Izzet, tons of card draw in that set, and Guilds of Ravnica and for that draft set. But the real payoff here is going to be cards that actively want you to draw those cards for more value than just drawing extra cards, which drawing extra cards is always good, but to get extra value out of them is fantastic here. And Thundering Djinn, it's the most expensive of the uncommons here, and it's also the beefiest. And just the fact that this thing, whenever it attacks and it deals damage before the block actually goes off, this thing could easily mow down a number of small creatures throughout the course of the game. And if you have any red removal, we have the Delve red spell that deals 5 damage to a creature or a planeswalker. There's plenty of blue bounce in this set. Thundering Djinn is going to be really nuts, just to keep the board clear with all of your tempo spells. And as long as you got a way to like back up and draw extra cards, super powerful. Super excited to play this for this archetype. Blue-red's always one of my favorite to draft. Traditionally, it's always been a little bit underpowered. Even if you look back to the Izzet, like I mentioned, in Guilds of Ravnica, it was this weird sort of hybrid tempo control thing that to me, never really came together all that well. Results may vary, obviously, but was always a little bit better served when you splashed a little bit of black in there, get a little dirty with it. So, Thundering Djinn, super powerful, and all of these cards really embody obviously what their color combination wants to do in draft. And I really have to say, Wizards has done a great job with a set like this that's just wanting to highlight what a good draft archetype can be when the restraints are told just pulled a little bit too far back off. Cards like this you really wouldn't see in a standard format, and that's what this set's all about. Really powerful Magic cards pushing the envelope and seeing what Wizards can do when they don't have to worry about the power level of standard holding a draft format back or just cards in general back. So, that's gonna do it for tonight, guys. It's a little rough here and there, but just a cool quick look at your 10 color pairs in this set. I hope you are as excited about this set as I am to draft this set, to play with this set. I'm gonna be opening a box of this on camera. I can't wait. I can't wait. Haven't opened a box in so long, since Masters 2017. It's been so long. Been so long. I don't count that bundle I opened a couple weeks ago. That doesn't count. That wasn't a box. That was just for fun. But a whole freaking box of Magic cards open on this channel. So yeah. So be on the lookout. I will unfortunately will not be able to get the entire set review done by Friday, but I think just because of the longevity of this set, the number of times we'll be able to draft this, that's going to be okay. And then we've got a couple weeks before Core Set 2020. There's so much coming out this summer that I cannot wait. Core Set 2020, Commander 2019. We're doing more Commander videos. Those are coming. I promise you those are coming. Commander in the Dungeon will continue. I promise you that. Schedules are back online. We've got it all done. It just needs to be edited now. So it's coming. I promise you that. So I'm going to stop rambling. Go to Mythic Spoiler. Go check it out. Go pre-order your boxes. Go sign up for your pre-releases at your local game store. Get hyped. It's on the horizon. It's my one per episode. It's my one. So I'll see you guys next week. And yeah, go have some fun drafting this set, people. It's awesome. Have a great night, people.